record that way. So thank you very much, Karen, for coming to see us. And for everybody that doesn't know, Karen is the three-time Olympian and the Nova Scotia Sport Hall of Fame person, as well as the world champion. You know, you might even get her to be able to sign this copy of her book that she wrote. And
Yep.
as good of an athlete as she is, she's even a better writer.
Aww.
So Karen and I first met back when, you know, she was still in university, and we were at a podium performance session that Sport Nova Scotia puts on. And it was just after Jeff Gowan came to live in Nova Scotia. And Jeff Gowan founded the Coaching Association of Canada. He was a former triple jumps coach. His granddaughter went to Halifax Grammar, so he moved here. And what struck me that night was in what Jeff said. He was talking about a ski racing team who wasn't having a very good time at things. So they decided for one whole year that they wouldn't compete at all, and all they would do is train. And that has stuck with me for the 20 years that, you know, I've known Karen. Because the one thing you may not know about Karen is the depth and volume upon which she trains herself. And when you think about how long her Olympic event actually took to compete in, one of the things that Dr. Gowan was talking about in comparison of team sports versus individual sports. So for sports like soccer and hockey and basketball and any of the team sports that you can think of, you're very lucky if you have a 50% skill and training ratio to competition. You might get 50% of your time training. Most of the time you're spending actually in games. And he talked about the individual sports being closer to 90% training and 10% competing. And then I was thinking about Adrian Power at the time, who went to the Olympics in the 200. And I wondered it would be even closer to 98%, and someone like Karen would be the same thing. So I had recently run my lifetime best in a marathon that fall on the day of Andy's oldest son's birth, which means it's been a while ago because he's now 20 this year. I took my training log, which was a paper book, and I counted up all the miles that I had done. I hadn't talked about any kind of supplemental training at all, but just the miles that I did in training as a distance runner, not elite distance runner, but age class competitive is what we called ourselves. And it took the marathon to get my competing miles up to 4.8%. And the rest of the time was all about training. And the take-home message that I have for everybody, and I think that Karen is probably going to agree with this one, you better like training if you're going to be an athlete. With that, Karen's going to lead us on a virtual training session right out of our homes, like we've been doing for the last 3 months. And I think as a result of what we've been doing collectively and individually over the last 3 months, instead of racing every other week, I think you're going to step onto the competition arena and you people are going to excel as a result of all that extra work that you've been doing. With that, I give it to our three-time Olympian and friend to us all, Karen Furneaux.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. That was a lovely intro. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I hope you had a good Thursday. I'm really excited to be with you guys here this evening. So I have a quick little workout. It'll take inside of 30 minutes. And then from what I understand for the structure of tonight is following our workout, we'll do a little stretch together and you guys can ask any questions that you want, or, you know, if anything comes up, we can have a little chat. So we should be all done inside, well inside of the hour. So yeah, please feel free, ask me anything. I've had lots of different experiences, both in school, in many different sports, and my athletic career. So I was an Olympian, as Steve mentioned, and I got to compete at 3 games, and I was with the Canadian team for almost 20 years. So it was a long, long time, and had one coach through that entire time. And then my final year and a half, I had another coach. So I've had a few different coaches, but many different coaches across different sports. And one of the things that I always took from my coaches, and it's kind of around, so when I was at Dalhousie, I did my undergrad in kinesiology, and I did my master's degree in sports psychology. And I did a master's thesis, and what I came up with was just the importance of the environment that we all co-create. So my thesis was around what were the determinants of a successful coach. I wanted to know. So I went and I interviewed a lot of different athletes from all over the world, a lot of different coaches from all over the world, all in my sport. But yeah, the resounding theme was the importance of that creation, that co-creation of the environment. So everyone participating and bringing their value and wisdom into the space. So again, with that, keeping with that same theme, you're all here tonight. So thank you so much for making the time and co-creating this moment tonight. So I'm really excited to share. So this is going to be my first time I'm going to move my computer screen back and forth so that you can see me. I'm in my little home gym here. So we're going to start with a little warm up. And for a warm up, the warm up's literally going to be like 3 minutes. I always start everything with a warm up because I like to be warm and I like to be safe. And I know you guys are all on the same page. So let's start off with some jumping jacks. And if jumping's not available to you, or if it's uncomfortable in any way, oh, you can't see my head. If it's uncomfortable, just step out those jumping jacks. But let's do a couple of jumping jacks. Starting to get warm. Nice work, nice work. And how about some standing squats? So pushing through our foot, weight a little bit back into the heels. Chest is proud and tall. Nice work. And how about down for some push-ups? Let's just start from our knees because we're warming up. So take a peek down at your hands. They should be right underneath our shoulders. Nice strong block with the shoulders to push up. Belly button pulled in towards our spine. Really nice work. All right, and let's stand up for some arm circles. Start them off big. And tighten them up a little bit. And make those circles even smaller. And as small as you can make them now. So really working those tiny little rotational muscles of the shoulder. Let's switch directions, keeping that circle nice and tight. And make that circle a little bit bigger. And a little bit bigger. And as big as we can make them. We're gonna take off here soon, you guys. All right. Let's just swing our arms a little bit. Nice. So opening up through our back. Let's go into a low lunge. So low lunge. Both hands on the inside of one leg. And let's gently twist to open up our thoracic spine, our low back. Gentle, gentle twisting. I love this stretch. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So both hands on the inside of your front foot. Gently twist to open up towards the ceiling. Same thing on the other side. And one more round. Nice. I'm warm. How about you guys? Thumbs up. All right. So we're going to start with, I have 3 big sets, and we're going to do 3 rounds of each set. So the first, I'll explain each one as we go through. But the first set, all you need to know is that it's 30 seconds of work. We're going to do with spot sprints. We're going to start with spot sprints. So for all you sprinters. And then we're going to move into ski hops. So traveling ski hops, like we're slalom skiing, forwards and backwards. And then we're going to move into an in and out, kind of the bottom of a jumping jack. So in and out with our feet. And then we're going to do some core work. So this is our only little cardio piece. And then we do the core. You guys good with that? Yeah? All right. So let's start here. Ready in 3, 2, 1. We're going to start with our spot sprint. Ready, 2, 1, go! So fast feet. Use those arms. Nice work. Going for 30 seconds. Use your breath. We gotta breathe here, you guys. Nice work, nice work. You got 5 seconds, come on. All right, ski hops. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. So jumping from our toes, 3 hops forward, 3 hops back. Nice work. We can speed it up. Nice, so absorbing the landing. If jumping's not available, just steps. All right, and now into our in and out hops. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go! So moving those feet quick. In and out like a jumping jack. Nice work. You got 5 seconds. And rest. Rest, nice. Let's take a little drink of water. It's so hot here in Halifax today. All right, we're gonna go in 15 seconds for round 2. Ready in 10 with our spot sprint. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go! Spot sprint, spot sprint. Go, 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 use that breath, come on. Nice work. You got 5 seconds. All right, and into those ski hops in 3, 2, 1, go. So side to side, absorbing that landing. Nice. Keeping our belly button pulled in towards our spine. Keeps our back safe. And rest. Ready for those in and out hops. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Use your exhales. It's gonna help you recover. Come on, come on. You got 5 seconds. And rest. Nice, one more round. And then it's all core. Nice work, team. Grab a drink if you have it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sweating already. All right, we're going in 5, last round. In 3, 2, 1, go. Spot sprint. Move those feet, move those feet. Nice work. Great work, everyone. You got 10 seconds, come on. All right, and going into those ski hops. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Soft on the landing. Almost there. All right, a little mini rest. Ready for our in and out hops. This is the last one of the set. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Really good work. Use that exhale. You got 5 seconds. And rest. Nice, shake it out. Awesome, awesome work, you guys. So before we go down for our core, let's do some ankle mobility. So rolling that ankle. See, I like to stretch and do things while I'm still warm. So that's where I can start my recovery partway through the workout. And let's twist that ankle the other way. Ankle circles. And let's pace out our exhales a little bit, letting the heart rate come down a little bit. That was a great cardio set. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So rolling out that ankle. And switch directions. Nice. And again, before we get down to the mat, let's do an IT band stretch. So cross one leg over the other, maybe lean into a wall if you have it. If not, just bend into that side of the hip. So stretching all the way down that big muscle, that big band of tissue along the side of our hip and our knee. Maybe raising that hand. Give an extra length and stretch. Nice, and same thing on the other side. So cross over with the other leg, bending to lengthen that other side IT band. We did a lot of jumping there, a lot of kind of explosive movements, and our body's nice and warm. Nice. All right, and let's go into just a high lunge. So charging both hips forward. And let's push through our back heel. So your back heel doesn't touch the ground. We're just pushing towards the back wall. And we're keeping that front knee right over the ankle. So opening up our hip flexor. I know I spend a lot of time sitting these days. Yeah. We need to show our hips and our back the love. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So high lunge. We're not going for range here. We get a ton of stretching just by putting our body in that posture. So charging our hips forward, feeling that stretch through that Big hip flexor complex. Pushing that back heel towards the back of the room. Nice work. All right, let's come down to the mat. So we're gonna do one more series, and we're gonna start with a stability exercise. So same thing, we're gonna go through 3 rounds, just like we just did, but we're all on the floor now. So we're not doing any more cardio stuff. We're just all here. We're doing ab kind of body awareness and that connection, just so that we can feel our abdominals working and that connection to our mind. So I'll get you to lie down on your back on the mat. Our first exercise is our dead bug. I actually like to call it a moving bug because we're gonna move our limbs, and dead bugs, they don't move. So we're gonna do that moving bug posture. So our knees are up in tabletop and our arms are up vertically. So our arms are pressing towards the ceiling. So we're starting in this posture, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna send one leg and the opposite arm out. While we're doing this, here's the core challenge. Our low back, I'm gonna bring it down so you can see what I'm doing here. Our low back is pushing into the mat. So we shouldn't have a pillow of air under our back. We're keeping our back safe. We're engaging our core to push that low back lightly into the mat, okay? And then we bring our limbs back together to meet, and we do the same thing on the other side. So there is so much going on here in this exercise. The second exercise we're gonna do is a plank with a foot clap. I know, it sounds funny, it sounds crazy, but it's good. So plank, high plank, if you've got that, and if you want to try the foot clap, we're just doing a clap with our feet. If that's not available to you, try the one leg lift, okay? So that's available, or if you want to just do an isometric hold, this is a great ton of exercise right here, that plank hold. And our third and final exercise of this set is our Superwoman alternate arm, alternate leg hold. So I couldn't remember what was happening in the Superwoman today. So we're gonna raise opposite arm, opposite leg. So our whole posterior chain is engaged here. We're extending our hip. We're using the back of the shoulder to bring that arm up off the ground. And we're envisioning that we are each a superhero of some kind, whoever your favorite one is. So let's get started. We're gonna go with our dead bug or our moving bug. Let's call it something positive.
I think you're my favorite superhero, Karen.
Thanks, Steve. You guys are all superheroes. So we're ready for the moving bug. Oh yeah, I can't see my clock. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. So this is slow and purposeful movements. We're not going for speed here. We're keeping that stability in our core, keeping that low back on the mat. And I'm looking up, you can have your head on the mat. We don't need to have our neck flexed forward. So keep your head on the mat wherever it's comfortable. All right, let's move into those plank foot claps. I don't know if you guys have ever tried this exercise. I sure hadn't until today. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. It's just like a little heel kick, yeah? Oh, you guys got it, you guys have it. Nice. Superstars. Let's keep our belly button pulled in towards our spine. Nice. All right, and down to the mat for our Superwoman flying test. So let's keep our eyes down towards the mat, keeping our neck neutral. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Opposite arm, opposite leg, like a 3-second hold. Go at your own pace. So really feeling the length in our body, extending through the top of our head and the soles of our feet. One more. And let's flip over for our moving bug. We've got 2 more rounds, and then we can have our chat. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Keeping our back against the mat. And try and shrink that distance between the lower ribs and our hips. So really engaging that whole core. Our lower abs are working here. Nice. Really good work, everyone. Great body awareness. All right, let's flip on over for those plank foot claps. Here we go. This one's tough. Remember your belly button. Belly button goes in towards our spine, protects our back. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Using your breath. Really good, you guys. Awesome. Let's go into Superwoman. Eyes pointing down. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Go to 3-second hold, just enough to feel that engagement. The back of the shoulder, back of the hip. Really good work. One more round. Nice. Flip on over into that moving bug. This is our last set. Then we get to have our chat. Here we go, moving bug. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. So the goal here is to keep our torso as quiet as possible. Nice work. Maybe one more round. Good work. Come on up into those plank foot claps. This is that tough one. So much stability. Here we go. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Keeping our belly button engaged. All right. Down into Superwoman posture. Last one. Then we stretch and chat. Ready in 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. So imagine a little string pulling your head towards the end of the room and your foot to the other end of the room. One more round. All right, excellent work, you guys. Really good. Let's push back into child's posture. So just stretching through our low back, middle back. Let your head rest if that's comfortable. So again, just creating that mobility while we're warm. Really important to spend a couple minutes just doing that. Let's walk our hands over to one side. So stretching those lats. Letting the breath come back down naturally. Let's do the same thing. Walk the hands over to the other side.
Well done.
That was my timer. All right, and let's come up onto all fours and gently, gently thread the needle. So one arm travels underneath the top arm to rest. Again, just a gentle twist of the spine. Come back to center. Reset that tabletop, and let's go to thread the needle on the other side. Maybe head touches the ground. If not, use your arm for support. And come on back up to center. Nice. All right. How are you guys?
Well, I was watching some of these folks doing your plank, and I am not entirely sure I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow. But I want to shout out to Ellie, who is doing a great job with that plank.
Yeah, Ellie.
Ellie's been doing a 28-day challenge with me every month since January. And
Awesome.
it started off with just push-ups to get to 50 in the first month. Then we turned it into crunches, and then squats, and then lunges, and now with some light weights. It's taken a while to do, 6 months worth of exercises, but that's a huge improvement that I've seen in Ellie, and it showed tonight a lot.
That's awesome. Good work, Ellie. Really
All right.
good.
So I know that these people are mostly shy, even though we've done this many times now, but I do have one question from earlier today.
Okay.
My distance runners are going to be doing a time trial on Saturday.
Yes.
And now it's a little easier to do a time trial because, they don't have to stay, 2 meters apart from each other. But at the same time, they've been used to working out alone. So I don't know how that's going to go. But one of them asked, she said, I'm really, really nervous for my time trial. And I said, this would be a really good question that you could ask Karen if she ever got nervous, and what she used, because I know she did, and what she used as a way to calm those nerves and focus those nerves into performing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know who asked that question, but that question is asked of me every time I get to speak to any athlete of any age, is how do I effectively deal with my nervous energy? For me, I was always a nervous athlete too. And how it would show up for me is I would get those butterflies in my belly. I'd feel a little bit sick. And I wasn't, my thoughts would start going too. I wasn't sure if I was ready. I wasn't sure if I was able to go through with the time control or the workout or the race or whatever it was that was about to occur. And the way that I found the most helpful for me when those feelings arose was to, number one, acknowledge the feeling. Number one, above everything else, acknowledge the feeling. Because what happens when you don't is that feeling shows up in a different way, and sometimes in a stronger way. So I'll give you an example. When I was a little girl and I got scared in my bedroom at night, I would imagine, because my most horrifying movie as a kid was E.T. And I know I'm dating myself here with E.T., but E.T. was a movie that I saw as a kid, and I was terrified that E.T. lived in my closet. And so every night, you know, when my parents would put me to bed, I would go in, I would have my little night light on, and then eventually I would turn that night light off. And all the thoughts would start racing, E.T.'s in my closet. And what I would do when I started getting that fear is I would just start to acknowledge that I felt scared. Because if I didn't feel scared, for sure E.T. was gonna come out of my closet. But how it showed up for me in racing is I would get that nervous energy in my belly. I would feel a little unsure, and that led to unsure thoughts. And what I did in that moment is I would just become really present. So become present to what I was feeling, tune into my breathing. I used my breathing as an opportunity to anchor in to the present moment. And that also came naturally to me because as a kid, I had asthma at night. And that's when I would have little asthma attacks, would be at night. And I used to have to kind of calm myself down through the night so that I could breathe. Now, I was never asthmatic in a severe way, but I would have those little respiratory kind of nighttime breathing attacks. So I learned at a very young age how to tune into my breath and how to help myself in the present moment. And so I think that skill became really helpful for me when I would show up and I would get nervous or I would feel scared or things like that. So, and I still get those same emotions when I go to speak or I'm, you know, gonna go and do a workout or something that I'm not prepared to do. But breathing for me is how I tune in. So my advice to you is to just do simply that. Be aware of your feelings, maybe write out or draw or something so that you can acknowledge those feelings. Maybe you talk to someone that you trust as well. But first and foremost, acknowledge the feeling, then tune into your breath and ask yourself, how can you be most helpful for you in this moment? Because in our life, we have scary moments. We have things that are challenging. We have things that we don't want to do. We have things that are, you know, a huge amount of volume of work, like those time controls that you have. And they're kind of, you know, they're looming, they're forward, they're in the future, and we don't know how they're going to turn out. We can never predict how they're going to turn out. The only control that we do have is in the present moment. So coming back into that moment and using the breath is the way that I find that to be the most helpful.
All right, that was both a great question from Evelyn and a great answer from Karen. Is anybody else feeling brave? Or if they're not feeling brave, do they want to put it in the chat and I will say it on your behalf? Otherwise, I'm just going to, as you know, keep asking questions. Oh, wait, before, I guess there's a guy. There's a guy, and he's really shy, but he wants to ask a question, and he's a big kid at heart, and it's not
Of course.
All right, this is Coach Ian.
Coach Ian.
How you doing, Karen?
And he likes planks.
I do love planks. Those plank jacks or the foot claps are definitely going into the next plank platter on Monday or whenever we run it.
Nice.
You mentioned something when you were talking about nervousness, acknowledging the feeling and listening to it. Did you happen, like, is that something you got from one of your coaches? Because it sounds very familiar to Kristen Ulmer, I think it was. She was a pro skier back in the 70s or 80s, and she talked about acknowledging fear and listening to, like, is that where you got that from, or have you dealt with a lot of like dealing with fear in that regard?
Yeah, I have. So before I was a kayaker, I actually was a ski racer. So, and skiing in Nova Scotia, it's not like the fear factor like we would have on big mountains, but there was an element of fear. So I did learn how to approach, when I felt fear, I knew how to kind of not be stopped in my tracks and let myself move through it. And what I noticed too is that when I moved through it, I felt braver. I felt like I was getting more confident. And I find that's a funny thing with confidence too, is that it's never sure, right? Our confidence ebbs and flows. And I think the way that we can become more confident is by challenging ourselves to continue moving forward. And that can be through any emotion that we're feeling. If we just are present and then bravely can step forward from that place. And I think that came from a mix of experience, but also some very wise coaches for sure. So my ski racing coach was great for that. He was a big builder of confidence for all of us, and he pushed us to the level that we were able to. And Chum, my paddling coach too, he was very, very keen on setting the expectations of like the practice and the workout and what was expected of all of us, but then letting us kind of go through those emotions on our own. And knowing though that we were in a supportive and trusting and confidence building environment. So I think for me, I learned through seeing, through modeling, but also through going through those moments too.
Very cool. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I'm still waiting for questions. While I'm waiting for questions, I'll ask you one that's appropriate for one of my girls who I've been coaching for 10 years. She's about to go off to university and have a different coach. Now, Chom was your coach for a long time, and you said towards the end of your career, you had to switch.
Yeah.
How fun was that? How scary was that?
The switch?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I took a year off of competition. So I actually have kind of done this isolation thing before. So I lived away from home. I lived in New York State. I was away from everyone that I knew, my coach, my training partners, my family, my friends. And I was actually training by myself in New York. And then when I came back, and I wasn't competing all of that year. So when I came back, I was kind of contemplating my first retirement, and I'll say that again. I'll say that the next story to that. But I was, thinking that I achieved what I wanted to achieve. It was maybe time to think about retiring, and then I just kind of drifted back into my training group, and things didn't feel. I was a little bit older at that time. I wasn't really recovering the way that I knew that I could be. And so I just decided to try something new. And that something new for me meant a shift in coaching philosophy. And don't get me wrong, Chum and I both always have had and still have a tremendous relationship, tons of respect. But yeah, I did shift coaches, and I actually came back. So I came back to compete and made the world's team again that next year in hopes to try and make my fourth Olympic team for 2012. So, but yeah, the process of switching coaches was welcomed for me. I could train the way I wanted to train. It felt good. I was getting the recovery I needed. I was also running. I had started my company. So my business was starting at the same time. So I was running the company and training. So I was, cutting back on some training volume. So yeah, it was tough. And so it was a big year of transition. And then that following year, I actually injured my back again for the second time. So I had a pretty bad disc hernia, and I knew that by that point, I wasn't going to go through another recovery of a disc injury. So I retired that fall. But yeah, going through that change of coaches, I think just having some things that you can consistently do, but being open, right? Every single person can teach you something about yourself, and being in a new environment is invigorating. It's exciting. There's new challenges. There's lots of opportunities, and you just have to be open to those, and pay attention also to how you're feeling. If it feels good, if you're happy, and I don't mean like overly optimistic happy, but just, if you're feeling good in your body, you're feeling like you're in that belonging kind of place, then I would say that's a good barometer for how you feel. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
That's my favorite kind of answer, because that's my kind of answer too. All right. I wonder if Cindy has a question. I think she might.
Hi, I don't know that I really have a question, but I have to make some comments.
There we go.
I sent my athletes a message this morning just saying how fantastic Karen was. And I just want to share a story, because I was on the Dal team running for cross country and track, and Karen was training for paddling. And I mean, she was at the top of her game at that time, but she came to train with us just as I assume just for fitness, but she came in and we were all gobsmacked because she could keep up with the fastest runners on the team. She wasn't part of the team, but she came in and she added this amazing maturity and just presence. She's probably one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and all around tremendous athletes. So it was a really cool experience for us, and we used to call her Pipes because, as you can see, she is jacked. Anyways, we loved Karen, so it's really fun to have her on today, and actually some of my athletes get to meet you, and then of course the rest of the Nova Scotia teams. So thank you for joining us. It's a super awesome experience.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for sharing that little story too. I loved my Dal cross country running days.
I wonder if there's anybody else that I can pick on.
I see a hand.
I see a hand. Where's the
Nor.
Nor. Save us, Nor. Nor likes the heat too.
Nice.
Hello.
Hi, Nor.
What's your favorite thing about kayaking?
My favorite thing, I love just being on the water. I love it. Like just the peacefulness of it, like on a really calm day. I actually drove by Lake Furneaux the other day, and I looked out and I saw the athletes on Lake Furneaux, and I instantly was brought back to what that feeling was like. Just, spearing the water and letting the boat glide along that water. I love that feeling.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Who else isn't scared? Nobody's scared. They don't like it when I pick on them either. Yeah.
I'll ask another question if you want, Steve. I'll try and overcome my shyness.
Yeah, work on that.
Cindy mentioned pipes. Obviously, yeah, like you lift your shirt, lift like a girl. What kind of weight routine do you do in the gym? Like, because obviously, like shoulders and stuff, with essentially core is going to be critical to paddling. Like, what kind of stuff do you do in the gym?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy the gym. I always have. I love how I feel when I lift weights. I've always been like that, even when I was competing. I love the feeling I got in the gym. So my routine these days is a lot less in terms of volume, but I try to go pretty intensely because I don't have a ton of time. So like our little mini workout that we did here tonight, that might be a core workout, and I would pair that with like an AMRAP, like as many reps as possible kind of a routine. I do some kettlebells. I love like calisthenics. And one of the things that I learned after I retired from professional kayaking is that I always need to challenge myself a little bit. So the calisthenics, or like the gymnastics kind of moves for me, was something that challenged me and it kept me excited. So I would mix in some of that kind of work while I was doing my regular weightlifting too. So some days I would do, you know, I would challenge myself to, I wanted to relearn how to do a handstand. And, you know, my gymnastics days were back when I was 10 years old, but there you go, there's a handstand. But yeah, so just having that element of fun for me is really important in the gym, and a lot of free weights. Again, with COVID, I wasn't able to go into my gym like normal, so I'm very lucky that I have a home setup. So I have some dumbbells, some kettlebells, a ball, and things like that. So a lot of body weight kind of style stuff as well. But yeah, usually about 30 to 40 minutes. That's about my routine these days.
That's very, very cool. All right, we're gonna let you out here with this one, and so this is a two-parter. Can you give a shout out to your golfing buddy Lori, because I might be hitting her up to join us one night? And what's your handicap?
Yeah, my golf game is well, it's non-existent yet this year. I've only played maybe 3 times. But yeah, Lori DeTurbid is one of my playing partners. I play with a great group of girls at Ashburn here in Halifax. And my handicap is still 20. But that's not bad.
All right, Karen, thank you so much for taking your time. If the kids have their dogs handy, you know, Promise is in the background with Karen, so she
Promise is upstairs. I can go and take you on a little tour of my steps, and I can show you Promise.
Oh, there's some dogs.
Cute. Oh. All right, we'll go on upstairs. I bet Promise is sleeping because he had playgroup today.
And I bet Promise doesn't like the heat too much.
No, they go swimming. Yeah, he's sleeping. There he is.
There he is. Hi, Promise. Okay.
Hi, buddy.
That's all we're going to get out of Promise.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Karen. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys.
And hope to see you for real in person soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Good luck with the time control or the time trial.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thank you.